So we're going now. This is us.
I guess we're going, lad.
Right, lad. So this is the first one, innit? We did the little pilot. We had a little back and forth with Nick. We put it on the back burner because you had a little baba.
And we were undecided on where. I guess we was a little bit undecided where we were in our careers. Like we were currently both working full time in agencies, and now we're freelance. So I mean, we've actually got less time than before, which is ironic.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's fucking. Oh, I said we just said we weren't going to swear.
No way.
Let's go again. Is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
LFG. Let's effing go.
Yeah, I think what was nice about it too, I mean, we was approaching it, weren't we? Probably around about a year ago now, innit? And again, what you said, women was in permanent roles. And I think we were trying to get the logo right, trying to get the name right, trying to get the lining things up and whatnot. But I think like looking at it from afresh after 12 months almost, and just opening the document and listening back to where he was with Nick and things like that on the pilot, I think, yeah, we're ready to go. So we're just going to push it now, innit? Try and be a bit more consistent with it. Obviously, as we plan to be in the get-go kind of thing, and try and release them a little bit more regular. And
looser at the same time. Consistent, but looser.
Yeah, and not be too kind of like regimented with the plan in a way, and just, you know what I mean, keep putting things out there. So today, obviously, we've got Danny Jones, a good friend of ours. We've both known him since uni. You know what I mean? We've been on his journey with him. Do you know what I mean? And so obviously he's in the advertising world, and obviously we know a lot about it through him, but we never spoke to him, I guess, as in depth as we're going to today. So we've got like a few projects that we think are some of his favorite work, some of our favorite bits of the work that he's done, and some of his favorite work, hopefully. And yeah, let's see where it kind of goes, I guess.
Should we pull him out the bag?
Let me see what he's saying. But yeah, because obviously his relationship within advertising, they work more in pairs, don't they? We're a bit more single, obviously, now being freelance too. You're very on your own, innit?
Well, except for us. I feel like we're an advertising partnership.
Yeah, we are. We're not.
And all we do is talk about design.
Yeah, we do. I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because you imagine if we took that approach and like got like bookings to like for me and you to go into an agency and work on a project. I think it'd be a cool.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be really cool. It's a shame that that's not a common thing in design, but I do quite love that approach in advertising.
I wonder if people do it. Do you know what I mean? I think when I was a placement back in the day, I seen a couple of. There was a team at Lando when I was working there that came in together, but
there's two guys, isn't there, who I guess they're building more of an agency. I think they're called Eric and Derek. I don't think that's their real names.
Though, is that what they are? Aren't they just a single entity as a company, and then?
Yeah, I mean technically, yeah. But it is just the two of them, like doing their own thing.
Stuff. Champ.
What's happening?
What's going on, Danny?
You all right?
Long time no see.
I know. How are you? Congratulations.
Nice one, man. All good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Feel weird.
I was going to say
he's quite small.
I was going to say we should get some subtitles on for Danny, but I'm going to cut this out. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to bring that bad energy to the podcast. So
I feel like you already have.
So don't worry about it. We're not going to go there.
I was going to ask you, can you make this a little special? What does your ma think? But house it up a little bit.
Oh, like your settings look lovely as well. I love your little awards in the background.
What? Can you actually see them?
Yeah, bro, of course.
I can't.
I swear.
But yeah, man, like I said, we were just saying before you jumped on, we really appreciate you doing this. And obviously bear with us a little bit, but we've got a bit of a flow that we're kind of working on.
Yeah, that's sound. These are only early stages in it, aren't you? But I'm sure I've seen snippets from the first one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so fingers crossed all goes well. But yeah, so to straight up, welcome to the What Does Your Mum Think podcast. First episode official, Danny. Like, this is legit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What a pleasure.
So hopefully when we've got like 100 down, we'll get you back on in it and we can re-up.
Yeah. We'll finish it out.
But I think from the start in it, we'll take it back to we know each other in it, so through uni. And I think the nice thing about today and like talking to you about your journey is we've kind of seen it with you and been on it with you, innit?
Yeah.
Literally from the stomping grounds of university to kind of coming down here whilst you were on your placement, and to where you are now, obviously killing it, lad. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like really out there. I'm trying to watch my Fs as well. We said this before.
I was just going to say, have I even said any yet? Because there could have been 2 or 3 already. You don't know, do you?
But yeah, I mean, starting off, I mean, obviously in unit, working with Shahid straight up, and obviously with the approach with advertising, start off with telling us a little bit more about the team aspect of things.
Yeah, I mean, loads of people are baffled by it because there's not many jobs where you do get to do with a mate. But in advertising, obviously, we work in creative pairs. I always use the phrase, we get hired and fired together. Luckily, I haven't been fired just yet. But yeah, you have a joint portfolio. You start off, I mean, most of us will start off in an ad school as a 2, and then you go and do the placement round together. But yeah, you do projects together. You interview together. You ask for pay rises together. You ask for promotions together. But beyond that, you argue probably a lot as well. So all the highs and lows, but it's good because you have got that little buddy with you. But in university, obviously, I started off with Shahid. If we're starting from the journey, so yeah, Shahid was my art director then, me being the copywriter.
And what happened to Shahid?
What happened to Shahid? So what we've done is we basically was in uni together. We made our trip down to London, as you know. And then when we got to London, we had our first placements at an agency called Havas London. But because of visa situations, basically, we had to get that first job, which at the time we didn't know was as difficult as it can be. Some people do, but we didn't. And then within that first month, Shahid's visa had expired. We didn't get the role, so we had to go back to Singapore, unfortunately. So yeah, that was obviously sad for us both. We were gutted. That was our little mini dream over. But then that was where this whole new journey started, really.
I remember you going on that process of losing Shahid as such, and finding Jordan. Obviously, it was wicked. And I remember that process of you having to find somebody new on the spot. Where me and Christian have known each other all the way through uni for years. We've known each other and so on. But in that moment, it wasn't like you just had someone there that you've known for years and I'm going to pull this person in. It was like, okay, I just need to find another really good creative. What was that experience like? Just trying to find someone who you haven't been a lifelong or long-term friend with, and just okay, I just need to find a good partner.
It was mad. It's literally like trying to find a girlfriend. It was a lot of it was online. There's a website that I think is still going now, which is called singlecreatives.com.
Yeah.
and you literally would go on there and you'd put your portfolio on your work, but then you'd also have just a bit about yourself. But anything on Hinge or anything, it's all right seeing all the photos and seeing everything online, but you've got to go and meet them.
Yeah.
So before I knew it, I was going on I think I went on 4 or 5 creative dates. So these scenarios are mad because you're obviously turning up to a pub or a coffee shop with your portfolio. I sound really old saying this now, but you'd go with in them days your portfolio, which was like that, and then you'd sit and have a pint with someone. And I met I think 4 or 5 people before I got to Jordan. And you meet some people who are sound, but the work wasn't that good. And you met some people whose work was unreal, but they just weren't sound. You've got to spend every day with these people who you're working with, in a very intense scenario. So it needs to be right. Do you know what I mean? So luckily, after being a little bit fed up of trying to find a creative partner, Shahid came to the rescue again. He'd posted something on LinkedIn. Jordan had posted something on LinkedIn saying he was looking for a new creative partner for the reasons he was single at the time. And then Shahid had seen it and threw my name and said, sending Danny Jones your way. So ironically, it was my old partner who put me in touch with my new one.
Man like Shahid.
Yeah, big man.
Sick. Yeah, so much time for that kid, he's boss.
Good.
But yeah, and then me and Jordan went on our little creative dates, and it was funny because all these creative dates I've been on, you kind of going through the work, and then you're oh, I'll let you know, I'll message you, and you're just trying to work out, oh, is it right or not? And then we met after me and Jordan at the end, we kind of had a pint. The biggest thing I think we had was our shared passion for it. you could see us both getting to the edge of our seat when we were talking about work and like just buzzing about it, do you know what I mean? But could have a laugh as well. And then as we were meant to like say bye and that, I just remember we were both kind of like, right, so no, you know, only wait until the end, but do you want to be my creative partner?
Love that, lad. That's
so
it.
It was boss. And then, I think fast forward, don't quote it, you'll probably crack me on this, but I feel like it's been like 5 or 6 years we've been together now. And then, boss, it's good. It's all going good.
Go on, lad.
No, that's it.
I was going to say, like, it's really interesting what you just said before, because I'm thinking like, okay, creative partner, you know, you probably have, you know, these awkward situations about like, maybe like, you know, pushing for an idea or falling out over like some bits of work, or you think this is right or that. But I didn't think of that other side of the complexity. Like, okay, what about, okay, we need a pay rise. Like, we've been working together for a year. Like, we've been putting out good work. Like, how do you manage that? Like, how does that conversation even go?
I imagine every team will have their own way of doing it, and I'm very grateful for Jordan, because I've never been someone who would like. I don't think anyone enjoys them conversations, but Jordan's fearless.
Yeah.
So it's normally something where like we tend to roundabouts on the year mark start reviewing our year, and we'll be like, right, and then obviously naturally we'll be like, right, it's been a year now. What have we done? Do we deserve a promotion / pay rise? And it'll be Jordan like and say, oh, we need to have, I think we should ask for this and that. And I'm normally doing like, it's all right, you know, it sounds like what we're on's fine. Because obviously it's a scary conversation, but in so many other aspects, like he pushes the limit with it and just says, let's do it. So I'll be honest, it's normally him who instigates it. But then we obviously discuss the pros and cons of what we should and shouldn't have, as I said, or if we're asking for a promotion, we want a little bit more responsibility. Yeah. Again, like Jordan's like he wants to take on the world, which is amazing. Like, Shahid was very similar, to be honest with you. They're both very ambitious, and we're just grateful to have them type of people around me. Do you know what I mean? Surrounding yourself with them people who just want everything, then all of a sudden you're forced to kind of challenge yourself to do these things as well.
Yeah, 100%. Iron sharpens iron in it, and I think having two people who are dialed in the exact same way isn't as beneficial as having two people with different strengths in it, where you can bring together and almost benefit each other with it. So throughout that process, you've worked at a few agencies now, haven't you? Where did you start out? It's Havas where you started out, right? So
Havas where we started out, then had a little stint in the Nelly Dean pub.
Yeah, come on.
While I was going on these creative dates, got to pay the bills. And then I worked at a strategy agency as well at the same time, which was not like a creative role. That was more like taking over doing their socials. That was again just to pay the bills, but that was still within the industry. So they used to organise talks for strategists within the advertising industry. So I'd sit and do that. But then in terms of getting back into it, it was hard. We were like constantly doing our portfolio in the pub after a shift. Trying to get it to a good place, trying to get noticed and create work that was getting on social and stuff like that. And then we had our first role together at a placement at a place called Isabel. It's like a small indie shop. We were there, I won't go through them all, but we ended up basically doing the placement round where we went to like Isabel and then JWT and then like another 3 or 4 places where you constantly go into these places to impress for a month or two. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's just right place, right time as well. Like as much as you have in the talent, we were at places where we kind of knew we were doing really well, but the agency itself might not have won any pictures, so they don't need to hire a new creative team. And you're at other places where they are like winning pitches and all of a sudden they're looking for a team and you're trying to work out, is this the right agency for me? Yeah. But I think in total we ended up doing just under 2 years on the placement round, which was tough. At about 5 different agencies, and then after that we made our way to an agency called M&C Saatchi, which we spent I think just under 4 years there, which was amazing. Like we proper learned our trade there. Great group of people, done some good work there, and then eventually after working there for a little bit, St. Luke's. I think St. Luke's approached us, or a recruiter approached us about it, and we got a little bit scared about making that first move away because you know what it's like with your first job. It's a little bit like, oh, can I go beyond these walls? But yeah, after a little bit of flirting with St. Luke's, we ended up going there, I think, January last year. So just approaching a year there now, and we're loving it. It's boss.
I think what's really cool as well, Ed, you just reminded me, is that 2-year placement journey. There was opportunities you guys could have took, but you was very focused on like going to the right place.
Yeah.
So you was like working some of those, like you said, like working in the pub and bits like that. Like you were still doing those things. Like you could have gave them up and started on a junior advertising wage, but you gave that up to find the perfect place. And I thought that was like super inspiring when you was on that journey.
Yeah, and I think that like I've done a little piece with Kev Darton, our old unit.
Yeah.
There's this thing called AdGrad. He asked me to write a piece the other day, just on my little journey, and I used the comparison of like comparing the advertising industry to the football, well, not football industry, but the world of football. And that was, every time I explained it to my mum or anyone, was the easiest way. Like looking at, I think when you're in uni, you look at all these ad agencies and you know what teams they are. So you've got your Man United, your Liverpool, your Arsenal, and everyone wants to work at them. And I think for us, just as big as part of that journey was trying to work out, like you can go and play for Liverpool, but you're not going to play every week. And then go into placements at other places at smaller agencies, we were discovering like, wow, there's only like 20 people here. Like we've got more chance of making work. So and your equivalent to that is like we use Everton here because they're not really good, but you get a game at Everton. Do you know what I mean? You'll be playing every week. You might not be top of the rankings in the advertising agency, but like for you yourself as a player developing, you can score more goals and you get more opportunities, you get more game time. So for me, that was it's really important when you got doing that placement round, trying to find what style of team you want to play for, what the style of play suits what you are, because it's massively part of the process.
Yeah, and again, that's how you get better in it in the long run. If you're working with savages, the same thing when I was at TD, like wanting to go to TD, like I wanted to work with killers. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I remember being in meetings and regardless when someone, you'd be sat at like 3 or 4 years, whatever, 3-4 the designers and obviously DDs and whatnot, and that next person to turn that piece of paper over and you'd be shitting yourself. You'd be like, what are you going to bring now? Do you know? And I love that. I love being on the edge of my seat and kind of, again, the same journey that me and Michael went through, like going on them placements, finding that place, which is, you know what I mean, that sets a fire in your belly, right? And again, makes you almost kind of feel like you're drowning a little bit. And then
it's a scary job, everything that you do, you're getting told things are wrong every day. Do you know what I mean? It's the same as you, like coming up with 100 things and then getting told 99 of them are wrong. But like it is that thing of when you find that one and you get that feeling and you're like, fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like and then you just want that again. And the whole time that you're going through the process again and again, you're like, wrong. You're like, why am I doing this? and then when you get that one, you're like, that's why I'm doing it. And it's just that cycle in it forever.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And I think that's all, like coming out of uni, obviously you got a D&ad pencil. It was the Ford Gold stuff, right, that you won from there. And then obviously, like from there, you've excelled and now you're winning industry awards and stuff like that. So with that said, let's see some work in it. So I think the first one to pull up, what I think would be great, is the Butter Kiss one.
Yeah,
which is a solid one, lad. Come on, and I think this is great as well. How we can talk about how you find your opportunities within an agency when something necessarily is put on your desk. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was you took the initiative of the moment, right? And took this to someone.
That is the case with them. I think across advertising, like so much stuff that does win awards is proactive briefs.
Yeah.
And this was a proactive brief. So we just started St. Luke's, I think, just over a year ago, so January. And we started the first week of Jan. And I remember Rich Denny, our ECD, now just CCO promoted, he said, like, I really want to get you in. Like, we want to win some metal, we want to win some awards, but I want, like, the ambition was let's try and make the agency famous, let's try and make the brands famous. So stunts are normally a place where you go, or like that's a question we always ask ourselves, how can we get in the news? And the amazing thing about this is we came up with it in the first week. We literally got there started the Monday to the Friday. And it's funny, they say like the best ideas are come up with on the toilet. I was literally sat on the toilet and I had a text off Jordan on the Saturday. I was like, here he is texting me about work on a Saturday, fucking hell. And I looked, and then he just went, sorry, just for context for people, with Butterkiss Popcorn, the whole strategy that St. Luke's had won that account on before we got there was go grab the Butterkiss, and it's around the whole meme culture of, the Michael Jackson gif where it's like anytime anything juicy is going on or like gossipy, eating the popcorn.
Yeah.
So it's really smart from the agency to position the brand as the popcorn. Do you know what I mean?
I see.
So yeah, the line is go grab the Butterkiss. So Jordan texted me about
without saying any more. Yeah, let's play it first. And then, let's play it first, innit?
Go on, yeah.
It's solid, bro.
UK politics. In January 2022, it all started popping off in Parliament.
Boris Johnson had a birthday party.
At this time, there was a national lockdown. Indoor social gatherings were banned.
I thought that I was attending a work event.
Okay, Boris. So when Partygate became the nation's biggest drama, we thought, I can't watch a drama without popcorn. Cue Butterkissed. We took our message right to the party gates of number 10 and even set up a stall, handing out popcorn to those outside the gates. Everyone wanted in. The journalists, the local constabulary, even that bus driver. And when social media got hold of it, they loved it. He did. So did she. Liverpool legend Jamie Carragher did. Especially this guy.
Here for the drama was so elegantly, beautifully done.
Within 48 hours, the word Butterkiss had 8 million impressions on Twitter. And our poster was all over the news, reaching a tasty 86 million people worldwide, with only 2% negative sentiment. But I think we might know who that was. Not only did we prank Parliament, we showed the British public, when it comes to a good drama, Butterkiss really is the nation's favourite. Can't wait for your next party, Boris.
Solid, lads.
Just to say that we're not going to swear either, but fucking hell, lad. Like, St. Luke's want you to come in to become an agency in the public eye. You want to create something that's, I don't, speechless, lad. You just knocked it on the head. Like within a week or two of being there, it's insane, and that must have been a nice thing for you, especially with Jamie Carragher on the end there.
Oh yeah, I mean it's good. It's good. I think what was funny was like it was great for me and Jordan to get this away so early, because what we were waiting for that we didn't have in M&C was like stuff off the shelf. Like it was a lot of government stuff and behaviour change. Where with this, it was like something that people cared about. Do you know what I mean? Like you say to people, "I work on Butterkissed," but yeah, it was good. I just remember being in the pub the week or two after it, and one of the CCOs at St. Luke's was like, he said, "Oh, how do you feel after your first week of getting that away or something like that?" And I just said to him, well, I feel like I've just, again, to use the football analogy, I feel like a striker who's just scored an overhead from the halfway line on his debut. I tapped him on the back and said, I just want to let you know, let my manager know that I'm not going to be doing it every week. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it felt like almost, it was amazing because it was like, oh yeah, we were here, but it was also like a, fuck, we've put pressure on ourselves here now.
Starting to go on, lad.
Yeah. But no, it was great. It was good. It was a good piece to work on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you didn't miss with that one, lad. And I think, again, for people listening to it, even whether it's students coming into the industry or people who are in the industry straight away, like looking for them creative opportunities and being aware about what's going on in the world and what's topical currently and building on that, I think it's fantastic in it. And again, it's a blessing if you have that brand that you can capitalise on in your industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was credit to St. Luke's really for when we got there. Like Jordan had texted me on the Saturday about Partygate setting popcorn outside Downing Street, and then we slowly like developed between us like we should do this.
Yeah.
And we were like, right, we'll present it on the Monday when we got back, and then on the Tuesday, like Rich, the creative director, like he's like his ambition and everything, and like his enthusiasm infectious, and he was like, this is fucking great, like we need to do this, and he was like, right, get it in front of the team this afternoon. Is that right? On the Tuesday it was presented to clients. On the Wednesday we were ringing up vans and like getting it all done. On the Friday, because everything was on Zoom at the time, we were meeting everyone who we worked with in the agency for the first time outside Downing Street, being like, hi, nice to meet you, blah blah, yeah, we're shooting this. And it was like that, like thing to just the whole team just wanting to get it done, from the accounts handlers to the producers on it to the client and everything. Like everyone was just like, yeah, let's get it done. Do you know what I mean? And it's brave work, like to putting yourselves there in front of it. Like it was probably scary for the clients, but he just wanted to do it and he got it done quick. So yeah, it was good.
I think what's really cool, sorry lad to cut you off, I think what's really cool as well is to see like the social impressions it had, like how much it blew up on social media. I listened to a podcast with Mr. Beast on, the YouTuber, the other week, and he was saying that sometimes these people from like big agencies come in and they tell him, okay, you need to structure your video like this, and you need to have this at the start and this at the end, and no, you can't use this language, you need to use this, and it needs to be scripted and so on. And he basically just gets rid of these people, and he says, all I need to do is just create a good video like that, just the best video I possibly can. So what's really interesting about this as well is you don't come from like this social media marketing background where you assess all the analytics and data about how to make something blow up on social media. You just created an amazing piece of advertising, and that's what works. That's just always what works.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just questions. Like Jordan always says it to students when we speak to them. It's like, how can you get the brand famous? How can you get them in the news? What are people going to care about? And it is like literally, what's the best thing we could do, or what's the worst thing we could do? Who's the last person we should do it with? Like, and again, asking yourself about where locations and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, what's going to get you in the news? It's like there's obviously got to be some strategy behind it, which you kind of just put in your head at first. But yeah, it was just like, how can we make a little bit of noise?
Yeah, with stuff like that as well, I can imagine the budget's quite well. It doesn't cost a lot to create, right? So I can imagine the brands that you're working with, obviously, if they don't need to go out and shoot something mad, and like art direct things and stuff.
Yeah, no, not really. I think with stunts, it is like it's something that you get better at as you get older. But it is like, yeah, obviously the cheaper the better. If it doesn't need to be a big production, like sometimes it can just be put on a certain, as you said, like in that case, it's just an ad van going and like outside there, and then just get people to notice it. Sometimes, like people were noticing. What was good about that is people were noticing and taking photos of it as they were going past, and it was obviously it's down the street, so it's gonna get people looking at it. But at the same time, like sometimes you don't even need anyone to see it there. You're getting that PR shot of Downing Street in the background and the van there, and then when that goes online is where it really runs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's a nice flow into the second piece of work. Because obviously, if we bring up the tap out video and the tap out piece that you did for the gambling stuff, obviously this now I can imagine the budget is a lot higher on something like this, right? And the process of this, where this is more of a approaching a brief, where I can imagine you go through several concepts to get a concept signed off. It's very different in it than the kind of like serendipitous nature of the first. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the budget on this was huge at first. Because this is good, but it could have been so much, well, not necessarily better, but like more exciting. So this got delayed a long time because I think it was when COVID had first happened. But we had this budget, and to go into the work, basically, like massive shout out to the strategy on this. The strategist Carol, she created like such a good strategy and platform. Like the strategy was literally the whole brief was to encourage bettors to think before they bet and just to take a minute rather than just putting that instinctive thing on. And the strategy was tap out for timeout. And it's like not often the first ideas you come up with ends up being the one you make. But in this case, it was just an open goal. Do you know what I mean? Like tap out, who taps out, wrestlers. Let's get them to start like tapping out actual bettors to be the person that helps them. Yeah. So yeah, but when we initially done this, we had Chris Jericho on the phone. And Chris,
you know,
and we were like to the producer Bruce at the time, like, "Hey, Chris Jericho, we can get Chris." And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to be on the phone to Chris later." And we're like, "Chris." And so his agents had agreed to start speaking to us about it, and bless him, he was feeding back on the script. He was saying we were saying, "Oh, we want the so when people are sat on their phones doing this and that, I'll leave it for when we play the ad in a minute." But he started feeding back on, I wouldn't do that as a wrestler. I would never just go at someone like, I think I'd nipple cripple them or something like that. And we were like, what? It was mad. Well, for whatever reason, it was mainly because of COVID that he was in obviously the States. So getting him over to play the part for this was almost impossible. Then budgets were cut because in COVID for casting, you need a backup for every single person who's in the film as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won't say too much because I feel like I'm going to ruin it before you played it.
Hit us, Lewis, please.
Yeah, sweet Lewis.
Sweet Lewis.
It's tap out time. Yeah! Tap out the ash, Dave! Do you even know anything about Ukrainian football?
No.
Think before you bet.
I've tapped out.
Tap out for some time and avoid bet regret.
I love the time. That's great. So how do you? So what was the next best thing after Chris Jericho? Who were these guys?
So I'm trying to think what his name is. I can't remember.
Is there a few of them?
He worked in a leisure centre. that is the second film actually. If you go on to the other one, there is another film. I mean, you don't actually have to play it, but just describe it to you because it's just the same thing but in a garden.
Let's play it. I love the typography, bro.
No sound on that one actually.
Tap out time. Tap out the app, Barry! Oh, you chasing losses again? That dog's got more chance of catching its tail. Think before you bet.
I've done it. I've tapped out.
Tap out for some time out and avoid bet regret.
It's so beautiful how you got the ideas in the environment. So like the bell in the pub ringing, and then using the fence as the ropes to bounce off. It's it's really cool.
I mean that was credit to this was, and it sounds dead cliche and cheesy, but a full team effort from the detail that went into this, from as you keep mentioning the type, which is design back, I don't know, but Andy Harris, I think it was, worked on this, the head of design of M&T Saatchi, or one of, but that was we fully went into researching at the time of wrestling in the 90s, which is dead nostalgic with the audience, because the audience is basically people our age, a little bit older. What would they what would they relate to? And it was the year that's really old school type. So we ended up getting these mood boards together of all the old wrestling typography and stuff like that. So there was details like that, but even into I don't know whether you noticed, but on the phone when he's first betting, if you looked at the phone, it says FC go up again for us, Lewis, and if you pause on it, you can see the team names that we came up with on the first one. Pause and he goes on his phone. There, that. Shakhtar Donau and FC Losko, and it's just even details like that. That was based on the fact that you have no idea about Ukrainian football. You have no idea. I don't know. It was just stupid, Ruben Caravan and CSK, not a clue. Do you know what I mean? There's just little nuggets in there that people wouldn't have clocked. But from that was with the director Vince Squibb, who's a legend in the game. He was a creative back in the day, and has got we talk about pencils, man. He's got hundreds. Yeah. but he was the director, so it was good having him on board because he knew loads of good points of view from a director, but also what we wanted as creatives from it. So across it all, like it was a really well done job, to be fair. As I said, could have been amazing with Chris Jericho, but our man here, our leisure centre worker, he'd never acted before. Do you know what I mean? And then the performances that he'd done were unreal. Like he was actually really good.
Yeah. So he was a wrestler. Like, has he done wrestling before?
Yeah, he'd done wrestling, but probably ones that cost you a fiver to get into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was small.
Because he's legit got the guy in like a toe hold in the clip above. Like he's got his moves down.
Yeah, I mean, the poor fella. Like, I actually wasn't even on the shoot on the day of this. I think I was in Magaluf working from a laptop. Something to do with that. I wouldn't have been able to get on it with the COVID tests or whatever. But Jordan was on it, and then he just said like on the day, like he was great. Like he was just, this poor fella looks genuinely in pain. But even just the tapping out. And then we got to meet these two actually as well, which was we go back down, and that was unreal. So obviously we recognised these, Case Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Like, play these.
They were we just got them on Zoom and got them to do little bits for social.
World's largest athlete, the Big Show here. Now I'm not necessarily known as a submission artist, but when you've got hands this big and a KO punch this powerful, I don't need to make you tap out, but I can. The next time you're about to place a bet, tap out for timeout and avoid bet regret. Because if you don't, you'd end up with one giant problem.
His hands are massive. He's so nice as well, like proper nice.
That's so sick. Play the other one.
Hey, it's true. It's me, WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. I'm an Olympic gold medalist. And don't forget, I won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. I've entertained millions around the world. And you're still stuck dealing with bet regret. You need to tap out for timeout before you place your bet. If you don't, well, I still know how to make your ankle hurt. Ankle hurt. I'm just a sexy Kurt. Avoid bet regret. Tap out today.
Great, bro. I love him.
I love when you think about some of the adverts that have come from like Drinkaware, which are probably like all stuck in our heads. Such as there's one where there was like a girl crossing a road, and it's like when you hit this somebody at 40 miles per hour, like, you know, they obviously play quite a dark, like the dark reality of drinking. Like, what was the process in this to come out with such a like fun, you know, like to have such a fun outcome? What were the other concepts as well? Did you look at that sort of dark emotional approach as well?
I think it was. I just remember with it, this was all very deliberately in the world of what betting ads are like. Do you know what I mean? These people who you're trying to help, like, because it was quite mad to work on this and realize how serious like gambling, like addiction is. Like, it's an illness. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think so. There is a good argument to take this like really seriously, but I think you need these people to like if you've got a gambling addict and they're sat like on the phone or whatever, and then they're on the telly. They sit up and listen to this type of content because this is the stuff that's normally telling them to bet. Do you know what I mean? So trying to almost dress up our comms in the world that they're already listening to and appeal to. This just made a lot more sense to do it like this. Again, like, he could have went really dark about it, but I think sometimes people just didn't listen to that as well.
Yeah, but you connect to the humour a little bit more too, don't you, when you see it like this? When you take that kind of like serious edge off things, people connect, people feel more related, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I sound, before we do the third one, so obviously we spoke to you about doing 3 pieces in it, but one of my favourites is the Royal Mail stuff that you did. I love that, lads, do you know what I mean? And for Michael as well, obviously being a big fan of Harry Potter.
I'm glad you're pulling this one up.
Not this one just yet.
Oh no!
Pull it. do Royal Mail.
What, the Harry Potter one?
Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yeah, this was good. I mean, this was just a really simple brief for M&C as well. This was like a great brief for any young creatives going in there. And it was like launching the special edition stamps. So yeah, it was just how can we clash a little bit of the world with Harry Potter and the Royal Mail. Didn't have that much money, but we were quite smart with like shooting in the sorting office, because obviously you don't have to pay for the location and stuff like that there. And then we were getting these actors together, and this guy, Perry, I think his name was, Matt Lee, who's the creative director, and like defined him as like, oh, you need to find someone with funny bones. And this fella had funny bones. Like he was funny. You know what I mean? He was good.
Play it, bro.
Wingardium Leviosa. What's that all about? Wingardium Leviosa?
You mean Wingardium Leviosa? Sharon, have you heard?
What?
Nigel's got Wingardium Leviosa on his letter.
Really good. It's similar to what Michael was saying on the other one. It's them simple connections, man. Like the ruler being the wand, like in the betting video, like we were saying about the fences being the ropes. Just them beautiful connotations. Just so simple, lad. And that smile.
The long pause on the pause. Sorry, I can't speak. The long pause on that at the end is sort of what gives you that like what's going on sort of feel. I think it's a very like British way of approaching it as well, which it's really cool.
It was.
Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus. Expelliarmus.
Yeah, you're right, lad. It's the connections in it again, like the tap out, like the pen, and yeah, it's wicked.
Yeah. Super simple, like it's really nice. And again, when people see it and they get that smile is everything. I love that moment.
You would have been jealous on that one, Mike. We had a Nimbus 2000 on that shoot. You know that was nothing about.
Oh, naughty.
It's really good. And then again with that, was there a process of having a couple of concepts for it, or is it again just off the bat? You know what we're doing. We're just doing it.
No. There's always like very rarely. There'll be like at least 2 or 3 concepts that are going. You normally have your first, obviously, your first one, which is like we'll come up with about 10 routes probably at that time to share with the creative director. Gets down to about probably 5 or 4 for the clients. Client probably tells you to develop 2, and then we eventually got to that. To be honest with you, a few years ago that now, so I couldn't tell you what the other routes were that were contending with it, but that. It's just like, as I said, it's so simple. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't feel as silly as well. It's just taking Harry Potter's world and just putting it in the Royal Mail. And we were quite conscious of making it feel very ordinary every day, making it feel just like the everyday in the sorting office. And these people are very deliberately looking British. Do you know what I mean? We didn't want, like, no offense to Perry, but we didn't want some supermodel looking fella sat there. You wanted them to look like someone who'd work in the sorting office, and that goes for all of them. They were all like, the cast on it was good. Acting a bit questionable in some parts, but
I think it's good.
Good.
There must have been some ideas around like the sorting hat as well, and like sorting the mail.
Oh yeah.
And the owls delivering the mail. Yeah. Like there's probably a million different angles you can take on this. You should have got me in on that, Danny.
Yeah, I remember the hat was definitely one of the first ones, and then the owls and stuff like that. But again, there's so many different elements that come into play that are like where would we shoot it? Would they have the money to do something like that? And then I think even though you can do Harry Potter, like I think there's certain things like you wouldn't have been able to show the owl, or like copyright wise, you can only show certain things. Whereas like we don't actually show anything. The only Harry Potter thing we show in this is the stamp, and everything else is in our world. Do you know
Which is
what I mean?
beautiful. It's beautiful. Them restrictions on a brief make you be more creative in it. Working with what you've got, I think them constraints at times. Again, I think it can be. It's a good thing in it.
And what does work is, you know, the sorting hat. Maybe people don't understand that, but it's very. I mean, considering the people are floating, it is very down to earth.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to couldn't help myself.
I think a nice way to go off this, Danny, I think you're like, even going through this now, I've been on this podcast for you now for like 30, 40 minutes. And the way you talk, I think is great, lad. Do you know what I mean? You're really good at talking about your work. You hold yourself really well. And obviously knowing you quite personally away from this, we both know that you've had adversities or faced adversities, so should I say, with presenting work, whether it be in client meetings or whether it just be in general meetings at work. And I know, again, me and Michael both know the kind of journey you've been on to get where you are now. So if you don't mind, and it's not too thingy, like talking about that. I know
of course not. I mean, hopefully anyone can relate to it. I feel like a lot of people will, but just don't like speaking about it. And I only until quite recently will speak about it. But I've done since uni really just suffered badly from the anxiety of getting and showing me work and presenting it. And I think the hardest part about it is obviously being so socially like confident in chatting with everyone. People are always more surprised when you do tell them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something that I've always struggled with, still struggle with now. Like even this like coming on this podcast was a big first thing like this I've ever done before. And now we're in it. I love it and like I enjoy it, and it's exactly like any presentation I have. Like, but the anticipation that I have always had, and I still get it now. Like as I said, I got it right before this. Is like very intense, like almost panic attacks that you get into. And I've been through like CBT and meditation courses and all stuff trying to do it. And I've just finished my second round of CBT last week. So I think the biggest thing for me is realizing that you're never going to get rid of them anxieties of sharing work and presenting it, which I've always just been trying to almost cure myself from it, which is just not going to go away. It's just learning how to cope with it, and realizing like how do you feel after it? Do you know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, it's the first 5 minutes getting past or the first 5 lines of presenting, where I'll feel fine, but like the build up to it is like can be horrendous. Do you know what I mean? Like I was pacing up and down here before doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, but like as I said, when you're in it, it's good, but it's just I think realizing that everyone gets nervous, like knowing that like you two will have been nervous to a certain extent because you are still new to this, but like learning that you can sit and like you know that you want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, anyone who's listening who does feel like that is just learning to reposition all these things like a challenge. Like a year or something ago, I would have sat, if you would have asked me to do this, and I would have just been like maybe or whatever. Whereas when you asked me to do it last, I was like, my instinct was oh no, but then I was like, but it's just another thing to get past. It's another challenge. And then I know after I finish this, I'll go and watch the Liverpool game today. And I'll just be sat there and I'll be like, I've just fucking overcome that. Do you know what I mean? So you
probably fall asleep now. I missed again.
I think it's amazing, Daniel. And again, thanks for being open about it. I think a lot of people can take from that. You know, it's an odd thing, isn't it? Like when you think about it simply, like you're just sitting there and talking, right? But like in your head, and like, you can super overthink things. Like again, I've been in certain situations where I am the same. That fire you get, it's almost like that belly feeling, isn't it?
It's so irrational. Do you know what I mean? Like it's you're in a room and you're chatting to people and you're like, oh, I don't really care, because the public speaking thing doesn't have to be in front of 100 people to feel like public speaking. Like, I used to get it presenting work internally in an agency. Do you know what I mean? I would go in, like when I was on placements, I used to sometimes run into the toilet before like just a review, I'd be like pushing against the walls because I was that like built up and frustrated. And I was like, I need to get rid of this energy. Like my heart was just racing. And then slowly like the internal reviews become normalized and I'm fine with them. But then you start doing more like client meetings and then they start being the thing and then it's presenting in front of more and more people. And I think it's just building up to get past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, it's not something that goes away. Like I thought I weren't nervous for this until about 5 minutes before it. You know what I mean? And I was like, shit. But then and once you just do it, you just like, you start feeling better. I just say don't let it to anyone who does feel like that. The worst thing it does for me is like when I was at a low point with it was like, I don't think I can do this job every day. I'm gonna have to go. Like I'd rather be a builder, or I'd rather do something like where I just can sit and get on with it on my own. This is too much for me. Like it's too overwhelming. But then learning how to cope with it and remembering that feeling that you get when you get that idea, or you can sit and speak to people about like getting in the news for putting a van outside Parliament and stuff like that. Like it is worth it, but it's obviously a hard journey to kind of fight through.
Yeah,
you've said that exact line to me before about I wish I was just like working like doing construction as a builder or something, but then you'll be sweating that the bricks aren't straight. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's different energies. I'll be getting anxious about something. You always can. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's beautiful. What you said is like humanizing it. That it is a natural internal response, like to feel that fear and to feel that anxiety. And for like people listening to this, that like it's just so cool to hear. Yourself, like it's especially like where you've been with it.
Face that shit head on and don't run away from it. Like I'm so proud of you, bro. I love you so much, Danny. Do you know what I mean?
Me too. That's good. I think it's important and like people speaking about it though as well. Like I remember just out of confidentiality, someone who I worked as M&C, who was a senior to me, told me about how he was feeling, and I kind of like confessed to him about it. And he was like, "Oh, bro," he's like, "I get it before every meeting. Like my partner does a lot of the presenting sometimes, but like you'll get there." Do you know what I mean? And I think your biggest worry is, can I get where I want, having these problems, and then straight away seeing someone who's like ahead of you or like more senior, and knowing that they were where you was, is like so encouraging because you're like, I can do it. I don't have to be amazing. I don't have to be one of these people who are so naturally gifted speaking to people. Like it's just learning to slowly cope with it, and as you said, I don't want to be too aggressive with saying to everyone just fucking go at it head on because it's hard. But like just keep researching, keep speaking to people, be open about it as well. Like, but don't always. I think the biggest thing for me is telling myself like, oh, I'm anxious and I'm different to everyone else. I'm not. Everyone's anxious. But you just there's different ways of dealing with it, and it's just learning how to cope with it.
Do you have certain things now then, like coping mechanisms, so to say, that are your go-tos before a meeting? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think a big thing for me was like, I was scared to prepare for a meeting or a presentation because it became real, and I was like, oh, I've got like it's like I put it to the back of my mind. And then when I'd have to do it, I'd be like, oh. Whereas now, I don't mind. Like, I've got notes here in front of me, like, from before this, where I'm like, right, Butterkiss, what did they like? What do I want to say about that? Like, tap out. Like, don't be scared to write notes.
Yeah.
And confront it. Like, sometimes I'd be like, oh, why am I writing these notes and doing all this? It's going to, if anyone sees it as well in the meeting, they'll know that I'm, like, nervous or I'm under-prepared. Like, sorry, I'm having to prepare. But then, like, speaking to when I had a CBT therapist, is like, yeah, but you think your creative director's not sat and got notes when he's presenting for a pitch and stuff? Like, don't be scared. Like, everything you're getting is normal. Like, everyone who is in a presentation is nervous just as much as you are. And I think you are never anywhere, you never look anywhere near as nervous as you feel. It's just like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm like that. I look like a rabbit in the headlights, but in reality, you just look normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really do. I think going on that journey and like getting to where you've got to is great, and I think a lot of people can take from that. You know, and I think it's the way, well, we don't need to get into it too in depth, but it's the way the things you do outside of work too, I think, help you, right? Your training, I know you're really disciplined with that, you're eating now and stuff. And I think, again, not running away from things outside of your daily kind of career and stuff. Again, with us, it's martial arts, whatever it may be, going up, getting on the mats every day when you don't want to. You know what I mean? Surrounding all your experiences to kind of take from.
I mean, as you said, it is just the little wins you can get that, even if they're not in advertising. What can you do that you think, right, I overcome that? Like mine this weekend will be this. Do you know what I mean?
Massive.
Or like yours, like that you do every week. And my brother-in-law basically says this to me, like sometimes before he does his jiu-jitsu, he sits outside in the car and he's like, don't want to go in, don't want to go in, I don't want to go in. He says, but he goes in every time. And he says the biggest thing that scares him is that, and it always stuck with me, and he's not really a philosophical type of lad, but he's like, biggest thing that scares me is that some people don't get that feeling before it.
Yeah.
And that is the scariest thing. Like, and I've always wanted to get rid of it, but like not having that feeling and just not feeling anything before you're going into these things is probably the worst thing you could have. Like, because you're just not living. I know it's very easy to want to remove it at the time, but it's good. It's fuel. Do you know what I mean? It makes you perform as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I know we've spoke about it before, Christian. I can't remember like who was talking about this, but they were talking about like you watch the heartbeat, it goes up and down like bim, 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 and that's the feeling of being alive. And when it's going bim, that's not the feeling of being alive. And yeah, I think
place to be.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I love that. I've never heard that before, but that's good. I like it.
You can have that one. You could probably rephrase it and say it better. I mean, I just rehashed it from somewhere.
Can we cut back and can I say that back to you? Actually,
it is good. It is good. I think looking at it from again, flipping it to be the kind of negative concept. You know what I mean? That idea of looking at it to a more positive way, looking at the kind of feelings to flip that and use it as a positive and use it as energy. Yeah, I think is a good place, right?
Yeah,
it's sick, proper sick. Thank you very much for talking about that, lad, because I know it's, you know what I mean, and being so open about it.
But should we take it home now?
Take it home.
Project.
I was wondering why this was last. You've been waiting. That's the whole podcast been on that line,
isn't it? This is a classic, lad, and I think there's a couple of points we can bounce off from this. But Lewis, if you want to pull up the coming home piece.
You say no more.
I mean, yeah, the great thing about this one is I think it burst the bubble of like the amount of work that, and you know this yourself, the amount of work that you do, and it's not noticed by anyone at all.
Yeah, man.
just done for your industry, or like, whereas like this made its way into people's WhatsApps and like at home, and my mum had seen it, you know what I mean? And it was like, it's good, it's great for the podcast actually. That was unintentional, but it burst that bubble. Like, people at home had seen it, you know what I mean? It went back to like Islewood, where I'm from, like it went to Liverpool. People clocked it, whereas like the tap out to time out, like loads of people won't have seen that. No, loads of people won't have seen even the Butterfist thing, like from my world at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was why me and Jordan loved this. I think it's probably our favourite piece, but I'll let you play the film.
Big chance for England. Sterling is there again. It's Grealish. It's Kane. It's coming home. There's Maguire. Sterling is there. It's coming home. Yes. Yes.
what do you say? You know,
Well, it speaks for itself, doesn't it, really?
No pun intended, but you did not miss.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
it's just simple, innit? Like, it was the best thing about that was like how easy we done it, and I'll never forget the moments of when we got that. Like, we started off again. This is proactive. Everyone was saying it's coming home. Me and Jord we just sat thinking like, what can we do? We started thinking like, oh, can we wrap the trophy, the World Cup?
Yeah.
We were like, we'll put that on it, and then we were like, nah. And then we used to have our little desk in M&C Archie, and it was like, and we had a footy underneath, and I just remember, like, you kind of just sat like looking around, looking for the ideas, where are they? And then like the balls underneath at your feet, and you were just like, got it dead quick, wrapped it, and then literally ran down to dispatch, got the parcel paper, wrapped it, had a Sharpie on the desk, done it, had some stamps literally already anyway, and we were just both like, and we just walked over, and normally you were scared to walk over to creative director at work, like even when it was good, but with that we just kind of just went. Just looked at us, and it was just like it was that moment, like, wow. And then it was like that was it. We went and shot it upstairs in a meeting room. That backdrop was like a curtain that was from the window, so we just put like a blind, so we pulled that under, made that the backdrop, and Jordan shot it on his phone, like, and that was it. The piece was done. Like,
great lad.
Like, insane.
You have like on it's funny, on our website we have like director, this person, creative director, and we've got literally on it photographer Jordan Morris, because he just took it on his phone, like. Yeah, it was good. This is like, it was originally for the Women's World Cup, this actually, a couple of years before, but it just didn't get any traction, and then we reran it for the Euros, and I think just because there was a lot more hype around that at the time, that was when it just came to life. Like, it just went mad. Like, it was quite surreal, this actually.
Yeah, I think, and again, I think it's really nice when you get that kind of like consumer engagement in it, when people start recreating it and like taking that purity of the idea, and again, even the negative to positive. Again, I know it didn't come back to us, but or to England, whatever. But it went going to Rome, and just, you know what I mean, them little nuggets there. It's still, you know, it's great.
I mean, Jordan will kill me for saying this, because he gets wound up. He goes, I feel like you take pride in telling everyone this, but I hate England, so I was made up it didn't come home. You know what I mean? I wanted Italy to win. So it's funny, because anyone seeing this must think I'm a big England fan. And obviously anyone who's from Liverpool knows that we just don't really like England, or the most of us don't anyway.
Liverpool's the country, right?
Yeah. It was good to get it out. As I said, it was just simple, like, it's proper simple work. Needed no explaining. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just a shame that we didn't end up getting, because this ran a couple of years before officially. I think that was the main reason, but we couldn't really enter to any awards. So this is something that, like, I'm confident, and I'm not normally that confident about our own work, but this felt like it could have swept up.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't win. That's the only biggest shame about it. It never won anything, just because we never got submitted to anything really. But again, like, it's rightfully up top there with like one of the top pieces of work that we have as soon as you get on our website, because we are very, very proud of the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
But the Rome version was new work.
Yeah, why would you? Because we didn't technically make that, even though it's from our work. I don't know whether you could. I don't know. I mean, yeah, we kind of let it go. We kind of made peace with the fact that it didn't get any awards, to be honest with you.
Did you rerun it for when the women won theirs? It didn't do the rounds when the women won it.
Yeah, we've spoke about this. It feels like it's going to just start cropping up every tournament. Do you know what I mean? Every time people say it's coming home, it feels like this just kind of goes about. Because, as I said, the first time it ran and it went on social, and I think honestly the BBC posted it and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But then but it was really when the men's World Cup went, we were like, oh, it popped back up again, and so it was like a piece of work that you thought was amazing, but then 2 years later, really you realised how good it was.
Yeah.
We were always happy with it, but then only when this tournament went and it went everywhere, we were like, we done that 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's I can't believe you got that work out to me. Like, it's 2 years old.
Yeah.
So it's done ages ago, but it's just, you've only seen it now because obviously it just feels more in culture now.
Yeah.
And it's just the right answer. That's why it keeps cropping up, and it'll forever keep cropping up.
Yeah.
I always think of Leon, the restaurant chain.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, they just switch the words around and it says Noel. And you're like, you don't need to bring anyone in to change that every year. Like, just stick with that idea. It works. It's nice.
Yeah. Even just the damn writing on it and everything. Like, I remember when, like, Jordan first wrote home on it. And I was just like, and he was like, is that right? So, because like scared whether I'm writing his name, I went, lad, perfect.
Yeah.
Just every imperfection in that is that's it. It just looked like just home sound.
And what's the crack with the 2 stamps?
2 stars.
Can't remember.
With the 2 stars.
Is it 2 stars?
So when we originally, so the first piece of it that we had. It was where we had basically the French stamp on it because the World Cup was in
the
World Cup was in Paris it was in Paris, so it was like the football's coming home from that tournament, and then there was talk about whether the stamp should be Brazil had won it the year before. Should it be a Brazilian stamp because we're bringing football home from them? And then eventually it ended up being the Royal Mail stamps. Why it's 2? Yeah, I couldn't remember. I done my research on that one.
Yeah, so we thought that it represented the star that we've already got, and then we've won, so you get the 2nd star, which is the 2nd stamp, which is quite a nice tie-in. And then was also thinking when you get like a big package and you're unsure if it's going to make its destination, sometimes you put an extra stamp on. Yeah. So there's like a nice you sort of have to be British to get that idea, but there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, just even all the creases in it and everything, just like because it started working out. Do we need to be writing any more on it, or is there anything else you need to add to it? It was like, no, that's just it.
Yeah, the imperfections are perfect, aren't they?
Yeah. It's just, and as I said, it was like that. That's what we like about on the case study film as well. Like just the Sharpie, and like everything was there that got made, like within the couple of hours that we thought of it, and it was done.
Yeah. Nice, lad. Lovely. And big up to Jordan as well. Obviously, you're partnering through, obviously, with reference.
Oh, I mean, all of this is because of him as well. Do you know what I mean? He's like, especially on the most proactive guy, you know, like always on the button with it, always thinking about what we can do for everything.
Yeah. And like I said, at some point, it'd be nice to do it with both of you. If we flip it again, once obviously we're more in depth with it and you got even more fucking a bigger portfolio built and stuff like that, let's talk about some fresh work even more so. With that said, what is next now then, Danny? If anything, what are you saying for the next few years?
Next few years, I mean, at the minute, like we've only been at St. Luke's for a year, and I think it's a really exciting time to be there. To be honest with you, I think the team that's there is it's a lean team. It's a lot smaller than what we're used to at M&C. But everyone in there feels like they're pulling the weight, and like there's talented people there. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's making good work, and you'll see I'll send you some of the stuff, but some of the out of home and some of the prints, especially that's coming out of the agency, most recently and this year, is like it's good. We've just won a couple of pitches as well, so there's some new clients in the building. And there's a massive hunger from Rich and Al, the chief creative officers there, and everyone to just make award-winning work. So I'd love to sit and give a political answer and go, I don't know, we'll see what comes in the future, but I'm quite confident at the minute we're going to be sticking around there for a little bit because it feels like a good place to be.
Come on, Danny, what's your 5-year plan? Talk to us. No, sorry.
I mean, a lot's happened in the first 5 years, so fuck knows where we could be in the next 5, you know what I mean? We could be anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's loads there what people can take from whether you're in the industry, you know what I mean? I think it's good being a designer as well and here in the advertising process. And again, for people who are in obviously UCLan, even repping our own beginnings, right, to be able to listen back and take some bits, hopefully. But yeah, I think that's good. Unless you got any, if it's a bit of an on-spot question in a way, but if there was one bit you'd tell yourself going back, what would it be? from where you, because obviously you've got some sick shit there, Danny. Do you know what I mean? Like proper sick.
Big load of question in it.
We can cut this bit out if you ain't got none this week.
No. Because got to have something. It's a good question. I think honestly, for me, if I was talking to me 5 years ago, and I think, and it might be just more personal, but I imagine everyone gets it. Is obviously like I have a lot of self-doubt, still do, but like a lot getting into the industry, and can I really move to London, and can I call that home, and can I be in the industry, and can I be but to even feel like I'm a big part of it and contributing to good work within the industry, and even asked to do stuff like this. The one thing I'd probably just say is you can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like it, and it sounds cliche, but it is that. Like you can if you want it enough. That's half of the battle. If you want it enough, and we say that to all students, just keep grafting. And it does feel like sometimes the industry's not for you, or not. You don't see enough of you in it. But like there's more and more of us that are getting into the industry who aren't from like, again, not to bang the working class drum, but who aren't from posh backgrounds, and advertising is for real people all over the country, whether it's making your brew for when you're making your brew in between curry, like ads coming on them, or just seeing stuff while you're walking down the street. So it'd probably just be you can do it.
Mm-hmm. So nothing, bro.
That's the quote there. Just keep grafting.
Just keep grafting. I can't believe we don't finish this podcast in what does your mum think?
It's one of them. Right, no, it's not that we didn't, right? But it's it's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's a funny one. But what does your mum think?
Wait there. Is it? Wait there. Are you beating around? But is it because not everyone has a mum?
Well, yeah, without saying that, I didn't want to.
Is that why we don't ask the question?
Well, I'd say so. Yeah. What is? You know what I mean? It's going to be some. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Imagine someone approaching you. Can I come on the podcast and like, well, a bit awkward, but
also it's like, what does your mum think? And then you have that obviously. Well, yeah, she. Well, I don't know. You know.
Right, fair enough.
But
what does your mum think? I don't have a mum. Okay, all right, we'll just go. All right, okay, well, time's up now. We'll stop it there.
I mean, again, like obviously the whole thing came from that whole thing when you kind of like when you come out of uni and stuff, and like you always go home and show your ma in it. It's like, Mum, what do you think? What do you think? In it, it's like, but the simple nature of it being like that regular consumer, and I think you even picked on that as you were going through like that. Most of your bits, so obviously the coming home piece. That's the bit of work that your mum actually does see, which I think is a beautiful thing. And again, that kind of regular consumer, where she's not got a designer's head on, she'll tell you how it is, right? And sometimes she'll miss, and then sometimes she'll get it, and she'll like. Mine was pretty all right with it, you know. She kind of understands it here and now. I always send her presentations, get her to pick a favourite and stuff, and my dad's comments are even better. Fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, I used it. I'd done it for the first time actually this year, judged in campaign big awards, which is like, and it was mainly all ECDs and industry leaders, and then there was like about 4 basically, well, not junior, but like more junior judges to them. And I remember being in a room with all these really important people, and then as we were going through some of the work, I was just like, one of the things I said to them all, I remember being petrified on what you couldn't say in front of all these people, and I was like, I just give it the mum test, and you were all like, what's the mum test? And I was like, would my mum get it?
Yeah.
And you were all like, oh yeah, and I'm like, well, if my mum doesn't get it, then it's not really working. So I don't think we should award it gold. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that.
Nail on the head. That's exactly
what it really is. Because I think you forget as a creative as well who the fuck you're designing for, especially within the design industry, so to say. Because it's like you can be constantly trying to come up with these little clever ideas, but sometimes there can be too much of an in-joke, right? But then again, it depends what you're working on. I mean, speaking from a packaging background, saying again, it's a lot more consumer focused. But if you're working on something that's a bit more brand led or a bit more kind of, I don't know, it's different audiences again in a way. But if your one's going to pick some up and want to see it for what it is she going to really notice that negative space idea or that bit of fucking copy?
I don't think anyone's seen that FedEx arrow ever until he started doing the graphics design degree. No one's seen it.
You know, but I think, but again, flipping it, them moments are what really excite me. And I think whether or not you're in design, once you tell them and they're like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's it, lad. Like, I love, they're in on the joke. Then they get it. Like, you're clever.
That's what I say when I see it. And it's when I know something's good, like someone else's work. They always say like, "Oh, there's one thing that you think, oh, I wish I would have done that."
Yeah,
and then there's one I have in my head, and I go, "You clever little bastard,
little fucker." I hear you. Right. On that note, I think we're good, Daniel. We'll let you get to the football with 15 minutes to spare.
Yeah,
but we really appreciate it massively. Like,
thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Looking forward to see where it goes. Nice one, lads.
Go get yourself a cup of tea.
Oh yeah. I love you, Danny. I love you, bro.
Lots of love, man. Thank you.
Nice one. Thank you.
Love you, bro.
Man. Like, that was beautiful.
I think that was good. Yeah, I think
that was really nice. I feel like from the previous one, I felt like we pushed the energy a little bit more, but I really, it just felt a lot more sentimental.
Yeah.
You know, speaking to Danny, I mean, we've both been there on the journey with him. We both lived with him, like everything. Like it's just so cool to be able to do this.
It's lovely to hear him talk about it like that, because obviously we've spoken about it, but more time you and the poor boy, it's passing, and with other people in the room, whatever, and almost with it being on here, it feels a little bit more focused, right? And I liked how obviously we did it chronologically, and I think the big thing again is that presenting thing, because again I didn't want to start talking about it then, but like for me, I really love that feeling of like that like I had it when we first pressed play on this. Like I did have my belly, and I was thinking what words I was trying to say, and I was like, oh God! And at the start of the podcast, I was thinking, oh God, right, I'm looking at a few of the notes we've got there, and I'm like, right, I need to start taking this here. And you actually do relax and you use that. You know what I mean? We could have easily just shut the Mac and been like, oh, let's fuck this, lad. Fuck it off. I just go and sit on the couch and my belly's everywhere. But I love that feeling of like getting a brief. It's why I left my permanent role at, do you know what I mean? Kind of B&B, I guess, in a way, and gone freelance, because it's like, I love that kind of, I did that for a little bit after TD. I wanted that feeling again to kind of, I had it when I started at B&B, almost get addicted to that feeling of being on the edge of my seat, not knowing what's next, and like having to prove myself again and again and again. It's a nice place to be.
Yeah, that's what I've loved most about, you know, we both started freelance like similar time, like mid sort of last year, late last year, and it's that feeling like a student again. And I hate the feeling so much. Like, God, when I went to Here Design Lab, because you put them on a pedestal so much, and so do I. Like, sometimes you forget that they are just people. Do you know what I mean? And you get in there, and you know, you present into like Mark, who's like, he's the guy. Do you know what I mean? Like the co-founder. And you just, your heart's in your mouth like all the time, like God, I need to get this work done.
Yeah.
And not just get it done, like smash it and show him who I am. Do you know what I mean? And you know, you get through it, you finish it, and you're like, yeah, like it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I mean, we all go through that, and that feeling, it like you always say, like iron sharpens iron, or what they say, pressure makes diamonds. You know, that it really does.
Yeah, it really is super important, because as soon as you start lacking, again, I don't want to make this podcast about martial arts, but I think how people, it's interesting even to just talk to people about what they do outside of design to fuel or the creative endeavors, to fuel the creative endeavors in the right way. Because jiu-jitsu is a massive one for me. It's like that feeling again of like walking there and being like, bloody hell, lad, again. I'm going to go and get choked out again. And it's the same thing with design. I'm going to chuck so many ideas down, and they're all going to get killed again. But when I get that one choke, and then I get that one idea, it's similar feelings, right? And I don't run away from either. I run towards it, you know? And we both want to be the best we can be. And like speaking to these kind of people who want to, like, you look through Danny's work there and you're like, fucking hell, bro. He's done some, I've said well too many Fs, but he's done some really.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah, it kind of, when he starts going in it, you know, starts saying, nearly ended up started saying la and stuff like that.
What does your ma think?
What does your ma think there? And I knew he was going to say that at the end of it. But I think, yeah, to conclude anyway, without running our mouths too much, I think that was really good. Thank you for listening. If you are listening, that was the first episode after the pilot, obviously. Thank you again to Danny. Michael, I think that was awesome. Really good. Stuff we're going to still keep working on and addressing as we go forward. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, all of them things. Everything helps out a little bit, and we're just trying to do stuff to inspire us, inspire others, and be active with stuff. So yeah, thank you.
Say no more.
Nice one. Thank you.